Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Ken Bozak.
Mike, there we go. We're live. But yeah, so I do these backgrounds different every day. This is today's background. I think I asked ChatGPT to do something cancel culture. I think this was a cancel culture one. I just give it a word. Yeah, I give ChatGPT one word and it does like all this magic around the certain things I don't want to move.
Bro, is that a gun? It looks like, is that a gun on your desk?
Yeah. Oh shit! Yeah, I think it is a gun on my desk.
That's a Glock.
And I got Bud T Light, which is definitely fucked up. Yeah, there's some crazy shit in this.
Patriotic podcast here with a gun and the Make America Great Again hat.
I love the baby. My feelings.
The crybaby, yeah.
All right, man. All right, so this is not another Bitcoin podcast, unlike any other Bitcoin podcast. And I got my co-host, my bro, Double O Tats. Thanks for being here, bro. It's a weekend show.
Yeah, I love it, bro. You know what it is, man. I'm out here in LA, South Central LA, Double O Tats on this building. I was just doing a tattoo on Venice Beach, bro. I was fired, bro. It was fired. Yeah.
Nice. I know. I just saw your, what was it, episode 3 that you just put out for the docuseries?
Yeah. Bitcoin Cash Tattoo Docu-Series, episode 3. Bitcoin Cash, money for everyone. Yeah, man, it's fire. I love this episode for sure. My editors keep getting better. You know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah, I just saw it this morning when I was looking. I was actually watching it and reading the article from our guest at the same time. Adam, how goes it? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, what up, Adam?
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you making the time to be on this weekend. Sorry about the mix-up on Friday, by the way, but I'm happy that we both made time this weekend to actually get the vibe.
Yeah, I'm glad we could do it.
Introduce yourself. Let the audience know maybe who you are, how you got into crypto, and what you're doing now in the space.
Yeah, so name's Adam, out of Canada, so not an American. You'll probably hear it as we go on. Got into crypto about let's say 8 years ago. My buddy kind of told me about it. Everyone else kind of hated the idea of it. It was really just Bitcoin at the time. Heard about it in 2011, but I had no money and it was really, really hard to buy back then, right? So I was in grad school and it's this thing called Bitcoin. It was interesting. Right now I'm a cloud engineer at BMO, Bank Montreal. So not, I'm an engineer by trade, but not purely in the blockchain space, not yet, at least for work. And I met Double O at the ETH Denver event where I was kind of representing Alio, which is a layer 1 blockchain. So not Bitcoin related.
I know you look familiar.
Yeah. That's where you met me.
Yeah, for sure.
So I can go on about Alio at some point, but this seems like not another Bitcoin podcast, which could mean that we don't talk about Bitcoin at all. But I think that's probably what we're gonna do today.
Sometimes we don't.
Yeah. Sometimes
I've got the Bitcoin shirt as well. That's the represent. It's my Element Bitcoin shirt. That's a custom made shirt. It's kind of like instead of the periodic table of the different elements, you've got Bitcoin here. And BTC
that makes it even more fire. Yeah, so
I feel like if Bitcoin was an element, it would be radioactive.
Well, I might die soon, but that's fair. I think about like the BTC, it's like 7 with the power of whatever to get to 21 million. So it's like 2.1 to the power of 7, whatever it is. Yeah, 10 times 10 to the power of 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just got the word Bitcoin at the bottom.
Where can I get one of them? I need one of them, bro. Hold on. I need a green one though, a Bitcoin Cash one. Like, you feel me? Yeah,
I can get it done. I don't have it posted online yet, but I can get it done and put it on one of those drop sites for you. Not a problem.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm excited. You got me all excited, bro. Yeah.
Represent the Element Bitcoin.
Hell yeah.
All right. So
what you drinking on, man? Blue drink. What's that?
Water. That was water, right?
Got the water. Yeah. Nothing too strong here. Blue. This isn't vodka or anything like that.
Okay, like the blue something. Y'all remember the Pepsi Blue, like blueberry Pepsi? Yes. It was like, man, that was the best Pepsi
Crystal Mountain Dew or whatever.
Nah, not the Mountain Dew, not the Baja.
I think it was Crystal Coke. I think Coke did the clear.
Crystal meth.
Crystal
basically,
Coke.
It had Coke in it, right? So yeah, I mean that's just irony, I guess, at that point.
Right, Crystal Coke.
Are you going to Bitcoin in Vegas, by the way, Adam?
Unfortunately, 26? No. I think that there's a consensus that's coming up as well, right? But I don't think I'm going to be heading out there. So, yeah, people do want to find me. They might see me at Blockchain Futurists in Toronto. So that's kind of like the biggest Canadian event coming up. I think it's I don't know if I'm July 21, 20, 20th.
I'm bad on dates, but I'm definitely going. I always go to Futurists. I love Canada. It's my
well, come on out. Then we'll get a drink together or just kind of chat.
Yeah, I'll be there
my
for
dog
sure,
don't
man.
Drink, man.
Yeah, I don't drink at all, but I'll be there. I smoke though.
All right, well, it's been legal here for a while, so.
Yeah, I know. I was there the month it was legalized. It was in November. What was it, 2019 or something like that?
Also, weed legal in Canada too?
Yeah, across the country though, not like here in the States. Yeah, it's way different.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So like is it like even less strict on the weed or what?
Yeah, but you still can't like smoke in public, like you can't drink in public, you know what I mean? It's like common sense laws, but nothing like overstepping.
You know I ain't got no common sense, bro. You know I ain't got
no people around here don't either. I mean, they're not supposed to be smoking outside, but yeah.
Yeah, it's safety in numbers though. Safety in numbers. I think that's why Canada, there's people that smoke outside. It's like you'll see 1 or 2 people spark up, and then it makes it safer for 1 or 2 more, which makes it safer for 2 or 3 more. Because I'll be in Canada, and I'll see I'll be hiding somewhere trying to smoke, and somebody will see the smoke signal and be like, "Oh, okay, it's safer over there." So somebody will come and smoke with me, and then other people start smoking. And next thing you know, there's a group of us just smoking. And no lie, bro, you see a dude on a horse walk by, like trotting by, like, and just keep on trotting.
The police.
Yeah.
I know the horse is crazy.
Canada's the first place I ran into though where the cops were wearing like cameras on their chest, and it was like scanning faces and shit, and it was like they were like looking at a tablet waiting to see if their cameras pinged anybody with like a warrant or something.
I didn't know that. I know that they have the best, yeah. But I will say like the cannabis thing. I make my own cannabis butter. I'm definitely pro like 420. But I understand people not wanting to outside, like with the kids, like with the smell. Sometimes it can be like downtown Toronto can be, depending on where you're at, you can really smell it. So, it does affect people as well. But, but overall, like definitely pro cannabis. So,
man, who don't like the smell of a good bud, man?
People that don't smoke because it smells like skunk.
People that don't smoke, yeah.
It do smell like skunk though on everything.
Once you get
It's
used to
skunk.
it, though, once you get used to it, you smell a skunk in the woods, and you go, "Yo, who brought weed with them camping? Who
Oh,
brought weed with them
The
hey,
skunk,
swear
camping?"
to
yeah.
God. Swear to God. I'll never forget the first time I really smelled the skunk in the hood. I said, wait a minute. Somebody smoking weed out here. That's funny as hell.
Oh shit! So, how was your East Denver? Did you have a booth there?
Yeah, Alio had a booth, yeah. So
Yeah, I was
they
gonna
flew
say,
me
I feel
out
like I
there.
saw you
So
there.
yeah, we met a lot of people. Yeah, I try to sell them on privacy, why they need privacy and why they need the Shield wallet. Yeah.
Yeah, that unfortunately people won't get until the same reasons people kind of got Bitcoin was having problems with the traditional industry where like, their bank accounts were getting locked or they were getting censored for like, tweeting don't get the vaccine and some bank somewhere was like, "Well, your bank
Right.
account's closed." So like people were like, "Oh, what's this crypto thing?" Right? It kind of was like that wave of like, but until the
Absolutely.
privacy starts to get exposed more, like I don't know what the next like thing would have to be because it almost baffles me that like Edward Snowden is still like literally risking his life just existing because of what he did to tell us what the government is doing to us, and
He's
nobody
still in Russia,
cares.
right?
Yeah, yeah, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. So I don't know what it's going to take, but something will happen. Whether it's like maybe out of greed, people are going to maybe I think yeah, now that I'm thinking of it, people might just get sick and tired of not getting their money from all their data. So privacy, they might start to care about it cuz they know how valuable it is, but they don't care about it out of like manipulative value. They want that dollar
Yeah.
value.
No, I've definitely got some thoughts on this. I'll say that one of the most famous kind of events here in the Spain was the Canadian trucker protest, which I think got into American news cycles as well.
Mhm.
And then the Supreme Court recently, I think over the past year or so, did come down and say that it was illegal, so that the government kind of powers that they use to freeze the bank accounts of the truckers that were, I want to say, protesting. I'm not sure exactly. There's a way in which you protest, but whatever they were doing there, I wasn't there in Ottawa at the time. They were effectively protesting. They froze those bank accounts, right, and they stopped money from
No,
being
we heard
being
about that.
passed, and
Yeah,
so
they
people started
froze
using
their
Bitcoin.
GoFundMe. They froze
Yeah.
their crowdfunding stuff. Yeah, so they had no choice but to figure something out, and they found out about crypto.
Yeah. So that was like that was a big one. Just in terms of your question about like privacy, I overall I have a pretty cynical view of people here. So I think that overall, like the internet was more open than it is today. There's now walled gardens. There's LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and they want you to like associate the internet as being on these platforms. There's obviously the behemoth Google, and it doesn't really perturb a lot of people. Like we have all kind of walked in here willingly, right? We've signed the all the agreements, the user agreements. Like we're okay. We want free services and free products, and so there has to be a lot of friction to jolt us out of that and to want us to go towards privacy. And I do see there's a small movement of Linux now, and there's multiple reasons for that. But I think that's part of one of the motions where people are starting to care about VPNs, and they might be caring a little bit more about removing bloatware from their system, and they might be caring about all these ad trackers, and basically they might be switching off of Chrome a little bit and going to Brave browser or something. So I do see it happening, but it's very slow.
Hey, that's funny because like I've been the type of guy like as much as I do on the internet, like I have really never cared about privacy,
Right.
and I'm still on Chrome and like literally, so like I'm hearing you, and I'm like I'm starting to understand the importance of privacy, but like I haven't dive all the way in to like really securing my privacy yet.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a big topic.
yeah, it's deep too though, because privacy at some point when you feel like at least maybe I do, like feel like you know too much. Privacy at any layer is security theater esque. It's there is no such thing like people that use
Mm.
Signal, right? Using Signal as a messaging communication application, people think that it's private and secure, but they don't realize that they're using an iPhone, which is logging all their keystrokes. or they're on an Android with a third-party keyboard, which is built in. You accepted keylogging, so you may be using Signal, but your keyboard knows everything that you're saying, even if it's a one-way conversation. It can pull the other side of that one-way conversation from their keyboard and compile the complete conversation. So, like, when you start to feel like, you know, things aren't privatable because they're built in to not be private. Everything is a glass, house. It's sold to you to be transparent on that one side, to be seen to. Nobody, we don't have anybody doing any, we don't have independent smartphone manufacturers competing with like Samsung and Apple that are doing it. Like, we have Google, but they're Google. they're giving us like less bloatware, but they're definitely still data mining us on probably even more from their devices than they are from a Samsung device.
I think it's a question of like how much work do you want to do as a user, you know what I mean, versus how much do you want to be friction free, but also how much do you want to pay as well. So if Google or Apple, they are giving you these the same tier of experiences, but they're not collecting certain data on you, well, they're going to probably charge you more then because they're not going to make nearly as much money, right? Like a huge part of the product is like knowing what you're up to and being able to sell to advertisers. And I think, again, I'm pretty cynical. I think overall, most people, most of the time, are pretty willing to give over this kind of stuff. Like we value free products over kind of like maximal privacy. I think it's not just. I think what I'm saying too is like we're not waiting for someone to come out with privacy. They could do it. I don't think the market supports it basically because I don't think people support it. They need to be a lot more proactive and they need to be willing to pay more basically.
I think there's going to be.
Yeah, I think somebody's gonna have to be a victim of the. I mean, it's gonna have to be more victims of privacy. You know what I mean? In order for people to actually give a fuck.
Well, those victims will have to get put in positions of power, right? They're going to have to run for office based on that as their, campaign. That's like, hey, privacy matters, and that I think the laws will have to force manufacturers into caring about it from, the BIOS level up. Until it's
Somebody
encrypted
need
on.
a Trump. Somebody need to hack Trump. Then you feel me? That type of shit. You hear me?
Well, I mean, didn't they just hack the FBI director and leak his Gmail and nudes and all kinds of his like not safe for work search history? I mean, that could be it.
Like his money though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That type of
that's
vibes.
true. Where's his private keys at?
Yeah,
they were probably looking for his private keys.
Right in the email.
What does privacy mean, Adam? What does privacy mean to you financially, though? Like, and why does that even matter, right? Why does it matter to have financial privacy?
Yeah, I think there's a few things going on here. One is I don't know if I can shout out, another kind of medium, but hopefully it's okay. Coin Bureau, they're like a respected, I think, player inside the industry here.
Yeah, he's cool shit.
Yeah, so they have a few episodes on CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and I wasn't too keen on this or like aware of it until I watched a few of they kept talking about it. I'm like, why are they talking about this? But the proposition there for everyone listening is that you will essentially have these digital manifestations of fiat, right? But they'll be fully able to track what you're doing, how you're moving the money. And also, they'll be able to smart program the money. So let's say your BMI is over 30 or something, you're medically obese. So, we give you these social payments, let's say $500 a month, but you're locked out of going to McDonald's with with those funds, right? You're locked out of purchasing certain things or making certain decisions. Like the money is only secured for certain spends. And the government could do this almost indefinitely if they wanted to, if we do have these central bank digital currencies. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be on the docket from the start, but that potential and that way of thinking will definitely be embedded inside of these kind of protocols, right? So these are, again, your nation state slowly phasing out cash currency because cash can't be tracked in the same way. It can be tracked somewhat, but not in the same way. And getting everyone onto these kind of central bank digital currencies. And again, there'll be a programmable layer. They might actually include blockchain technology in them. Often they probably will. But they won't be private. There'll be a visibility from the top down from the government, and they'll also be programmable in ways that will restrict your freedom. I'm of the opinion too that you want regulation. You don't want infinite freedom all the time. We want freedom where it matters. So I'm not someone who says we need as little government as humanly possible, right? But also, you don't want the government to be invasive and to be doing things untowards toward you. And there is the worry of the slippery slope where you give an inch here and you lose a mile later, right? And we all have to be like super vigilant of that.
Yeah, I think you wouldn't be saying that if you was living in America.
Well, the Epstein stuff is, I mean, we could talk an hour on that. I've been following that. That's some crazy stuff, and it's like the
Why
state just
is
not being open with
Bitcoin
you
all
guys.
over it? Why is Adam Beck and all these Bitcoiners all over? It's fucking me up, bro. It is like it's giving too much justification to like those conspiracy theorists. What was that group called? The anonymous group that like people thought was Trump for a while. Damn it.
QAnon or
QAnon. QAnon,
QAnon? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like some QAnon level conspiracy theory shit actually like coming out with like evidence when I started seeing like those names in the Epstein files with like all the references to like Bitcoin Core and shit. And I'm just like, damn, just damn, man. It blew my mind because and this kind of goes towards the privacy conversation, but I mean, isn't too much privacy a bad thing? Isn't like pure privacy for all inherently a bad
That was
thing?
heavy.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm of the opinion again that like you need privacy within a certain, like it can't be terrorist groups do exist. You know what I mean? Like people doing human sex trafficking, like that does exist, and there might be many levers in which you can get involved or stop that. One of them definitely is the financial layer, and that's where it's an open question right now. How far do you want to go with crypto and producing a side kind of a chain, so to speak, for your financial layer, especially if you can make privacy maximal. And
Oh yeah,
it goes
yeah.
both ways, because then you've got in any given fictional story, you've got the rebels who are trying to attack an unjust regime, right? And they're repressing them. You can think of North Korea, you can think of the Iran. There's multiple regimes right now that are unjust and that the people would rightfully want to take over, and you don't want to empower those regimes to stop these guys from trading and trying to. So it's a hard balance, is what I'm saying. And everyone who looks at this conversation should at least appreciate both sides, even if you feel strongly about one or the other, right? You should, understand like there are bad things that happen and there are bad people. If
Yeah.
I'm not American, and
Yeah.
I know there's a
Hey,
lot about
just
the
like
Second
that
Amendment.
gun that's sitting right there. You know what I'm
Yeah, it's
saying?
like the
Like, you
Second
feel me?
Amendment stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel that. You gotta respect that. It can go both ways. We want privacy from the government, but then we gotta worry about the criminals having too much privacy, doing stuff that we don't want them to do. And that's powerful. That's powerful.
Well, that's why
Like,
we have repercussions and recourses. Like even in crypto, you have all this privacy in blockchain, but if you are ousted as a bad actor, your wallet or your identity could be blacklisted. Your assets can be blacklisted, so they're essentially frozen and worthless. If an exchange receives those funds, they may send them to the authorities that flagged it for whatever reason. So I think
right.
there's that layer to it as a solution as well. Like people will say, "Oh, criminals love using crypto and for all these reasons," and I'm like, actually, they kind of hate crypto. They prefer cash because cash
right.
is a lot harder to blacklist, a lot
Absolutely.
harder,
Exactly.
a lot
Yeah,
harder to
the
trace with
smart
Chainalysis.
like, yeah, like people swear, man, I deal with the public on in the hood for the most part a lot, you know what I mean, and man, when I see people so scary about crypto, it's because they so worried about it being a scam and being criminals using it, and like when they see me Bitcoin, they turn around and start looking at me at like a criminal. And I'm like, man, y'all, you just don't have a clue. Like, I really want to, put my brain in your head just for 2 seconds, so you can just feel me for 1 second. Like, you feel me? Like, but yeah, y'all feel me. Y'all been dealing with this for years, huh?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's. I think the other part of the conversation is like, again, it just goes a lot of ways. What if there are criminals kind of using the Bitcoin network, so there's obviously downsides, but then the fiat system that we have writ large causes us to continually be priced out of our living standards, and constantly having rent go up, and the cost of food going up, and the wages aren't keeping up, and so it's like there's also a criminality to that side of things, and so there's also like something very untowards about that, and that usually is not understood by the public as much, so it's not called out as much. So you've got shady things going on in Bitcoin land, and then everything is more or less okay going on in the traditional financial sector. And we kind of see glimpses of things failing massively, including 2008, but people usually don't know how to explain that. And then they go, well, we moved past it now, and hopefully we have some sort of regulation, and it's all good. But I think there's a lot of corruption right inside the traditional financial layer as well, but we just don't talk about it.
Well, what does Bitcoin look like without that layer? Say we succeed and fiat is obsolete; it no longer exists. What does that look like? What does Bitcoin? What is it backed by? Where does value come from? Like, what is money without fiat?
These are really good questions. Like first and foremost, I think that fiat is required for a modern society, and I write as much in kind of the blog post that I have. So I'm a huge Bitcoiner, but I also think that fiat's almost like a magic trick that everyone needs at this point, and I can elaborate on that. The other thing I would say though is that Bitcoin is backed by energy, and this is kind of a mysterious thing for me, and it's my understanding right now. I want to say as well that my views are backed by Lynn Alden's book, Broken Money. So, anyone who's on this podcast, if you haven't read that book, I would very much advise reading it. It's the history of gold and proto banking and money writ large. And she kind of builds up to where we are now with crypto and how that might,
It's called Broken Money.
It's called Broken Money by Lynn Alden, a fantastic book.
Bro, Ken, you gotta read that, bro. bro.
That's funny.
I recommend it for sure. But in part of it is part of my latest understanding with Bitcoin is that actual energy spend, the actual security spend and energy spend is what's backing the Bitcoin. So in other words, what you want out of a store of value, let's say, out of a type of money, is that you want it to be effortful to produce. So if we get like these seashells that are really hard to find and we have to spend time polishing them, so that's effort that I'm putting into that. And then also sowing the field and reaping the crops is effortful. And so you want to exchange with me the medium that you can then you can store and pass on to that. You want to make sure that medium is effortful to produce. And right now, when we are printing money, now most of it is just digitally sending like money over via digital rails in a database to banks from the central bank down. But if you think about printing money, it's not effortful to produce. The effortfulness of our current money is the debt asset that's created and the effort used in paying off that debt asset. So you've got money first and effort later. Whereas Bitcoin and gold, you have effort first. Go create a mining operation. Go dig out the gold from the ground, and then you get money after that. Like you get the monetary unit after that. And that distinction for me was like massive in my understanding of what Bitcoin is. So it really is about like you have this medium of exchange. And I want it to be as effortful as possible to reproduce those mediums, so that when I put my effort into that medium, I know it's not going to be devalued or deflated. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I put it into something that you can then print, 100,000 more of like immediately, I just don't have. I have to have a lot of trust in you that you're not going to do that immediately. I have to have a lot of trust.
Bitcoin is backed by the power it costs to produce it. If that gets easier to produce the power itself or capture with solar or other things.
If power become free, then
exactly.
Don't that make the value of Bitcoin go down?
Right.
Nuclear fission is exactly, or fusion, I should say, is exactly what we need to be thinking about, which we don't know when these technologies will come by, but if you can essentially harness the power of the sun to indefinitely create these little small kind of reactors, so to speak, right? You have infinite energy. That's what we're trying to chase after. I don't know if you guys have, I think it was about 3 years ago, they were starting to get a fusion reaction to be, over 10 seconds. I think we're at over a minute now. And if they can get that going indefinitely, yeah, they've been working on it. There's different teams around the world. It was like America did, I think it was 5 seconds, which was the first, everyone was amazed.
The cooling process has to be like 10x to 100x the amount of power it produces. It's consuming a lot just to stay cool or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to cool it though, because you use the heat energy produced. So you use the actual heat as the energy.
I mean, for the machines that's producing that event, those things need to be cooled down, not that actual thing itself.
Magnet. I think they're using magnets. Yeah, like the super cooled magnets.
I'm just imagining how much it's got to cost, in production of that moment, just that 5 second to a minute moment.
That's the thing. So it's like we don't know how far they are, but if you assume, I think the thought experiment that you're both saying, which is absolutely correct, is what if we unlock fusion tomorrow, right? And so it's like we have now infinite energy and everyone starts on it. So what does the Bitcoin network look like? And that's a tricky question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it survives in the same way it does today. Because the security spend, but then I think a lot of people would say this, it actually becomes much better because now everyone can turn on their machines at home. There's free energy, and like everyone's a contributor to that network. But hopefully, and then you arbitrarily increase the effortfulness on the network. Maybe there's a consensus to just increase it enough that even with free energy, it's still effortful because you still have to buy these machines to run the energy through, and those can be quite costly. So there's probably a way around it, but it is like right now, I think some of the I wouldn't say so. The monetary value of Bitcoin is not fully justified by the electricity. I think it probably, if you added up all the electricity and then divided the market cap of Bitcoin, like you might, it's not fully there. It's somewhat speculative. But I think an underlying base of the value of Bitcoin, the like um, this kind of pedestal that it's put onto, this kind of like fundamental block, that is energy derived. And so what happens when the energy is gone, right? I'm not sure.
Well, you mentioned consensus in that, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on, is Bitcoin, reducing trust, or is it just kind of hiding where trust is going and coming from? Like,
Right. I
is
think,
it truly
yeah.
trustless, or because I can't DYOR that far into it. At some point, I have to trust somebody that read the code or audited
Right.
Bitcoin core, or somebody's reading the BIPs before they're implemented, and I'm not that guy.
Maybe in the future we all have our local AI models that we've trained ourselves, and then
But
we,
then
we
aren't we
set it to
trusting
task.
the AI model?
Yeah. So you can get pretty hyperbolic with this stuff. I would say like
Yeah,
I,
you ain't
I
shit. You always gonna do that. I'm
am
saying.
I even here right now? What's that? You know what I mean? Like, um, I think like just as on a philosophical point here, and I would invite people to think about this as well. I personally don't believe that uh, we need certainty to have knowledge. So I'll say that again. I fully believe that you can know something without having 100% certainty of it. So I know my name.
Hey,
I know when I was born, but I wasn't there. I wasn't 100% certain. Maybe they told it to me incorrect. I know who my parents are, but I'm not 100%
hey.
certain. I wasn't conscious at that point in time, right? So I don't believe I need 100% certainty to have knowledge. I think what it means for me to have knowledge is a very particular thing that
That's a
doesn't
good
include that.
ass point, man. I like the way you put that. I ain't never heard that one. I don't know. I wasn't there. I was
I'm
there when
sitting
I
here
was
agreeing
born.
with him, like, yeah, man, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
yeah.
be like, yeah, like you feel me? Like, yeah, they told me when I was born. That's what they put on the paper. You feel me? That ain't no telling when
Right,
for real
right.
though. That's
But Double O, I think that you know who you are and where you're born. Like I think you have that knowledge, even though someone could throw an oddball at you and you say, "Well, I don't exactly know that, but I didn't have a video recording at the time." You know what I mean?
right,
Um,
right.
and
Ah,
hopefully, Ken, that connects to what you're saying, which is like you can go really deep down and start questioning all these things, and you should, and someone should be doing it definitely. But does it have to be every user? Does it have to be us? I mean, I think there's definitely people in cypherpunks who'd be like, yes, you have to, right? Like you have to have the exact like hash of in Linux. You can when you download a program, you can I think you're given what's called a hash or something. You can go check that against the like a registry, I think, to ensure that you're getting a non-modified version of the code, right? And
Gotcha.
they kind of like tell you that you should be doing that. Now, a lot of users won't do that, right? But it's like an option that's available to you.
Well, like you mentioned, I
I think
think
that
once I could ask my AI agent to just make me a wallet and build me a deck and a dex and do all these things, I can be my own bank to the actual degree
right.
of being my own bank. I won't have to use an exchange or a wallet that somebody else made or all these other things. I will be running my own node. I'll be doing this and that, all from an agent helping me do it, which is like 10 years ago or even 8 years ago. I got in about 10 years ago, but you said 8 years ago for yourself. And, at that point, like you said, even buying crypto was a pain in the ass. So just like imagine trying to run it and participate in it. Now it'll just be a prompt you send to your AI. I'm curious what
man,
your
back in
thought.
2018 when I was buying crypto, buying Bitcoin in 2018 was easy for me, bro. Like I had we had
Was it
the
Coinbase?
rocket machine. Like we just ATM, you know what I mean? We would put money in the ATM.
Oh,
Bitcoin
yeah.
ATM, yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had
I
me
got
do
in
man.
around
that.
2015, 2016. I think I'm just getting older now, so it is 10. I just didn't realize that it's like 10 years ago. So I think it's about the same point in time, that 2015, 2016 cycle, right? That led up to like the 20,000 all-time high or whatever of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that was
Unfortunately, I didn't hold on to what I had, and that's, I guess, part of the story that I want to talk about as well. Is just like, if you don't know what you have, if you don't know the value of what you have, you're not really an owner of it. You're like a temporary holder of it. You're like a transitory piece on the history of this thing going somewhere. And I think that's something that people need to understand when it comes to markets. Like, you need to have conviction in a place where you can't predict the future fully, but enough conviction to hold on to things. And sometimes you'll hold on to losers, but sometimes you'll hold on to winners, and you're not going to know perfectly what those things are. So it's only with conviction and somewhat unjustified conviction. Like, by the time the market justifies your conviction, the price is already well beyond, what you bought it for. So if you're buying at a good price, you've got to have conviction beyond and hold it. You've got to have conviction beyond what currently
I
justifies
would
that
say the
conviction.
opposite. I would say it's the unconvicted that actually provide the value for those that are to speculate on. Since I could say that to Pokemon cards, like the people that didn't put them in sleeves and didn't get them graded, the people that played with them for all those years and lost their binders and ruined their cards by
Yeah, they
shuffling them
helped. Yeah,
up. That added the value to the market, right? Those people that
Oh,
were
okay,
just
okay. I was
doing it
so
because
gonna
they
say,
loved it. They didn't care about, oh, my Charizard might be worth money. They were just like, yo, this Charizard's about to fuck you up in this battle. I hope you're ready. And that
yeah.
was about how Charizard got to where it's worth now in the market. And I feel like that about
absolutely.
Bitcoin too. It got to 20K while Michael Saylor and Jamie Dimon were calling it a scam every day. Yeah, they didn't stop calling it a scam until it hit a certain point, and even now, them in favor of it isn't really doing much for the price action. I think it's because of all the people that got involved in Bitcoin that are like those people that got involved in Pokemon. They only came for the value of it in dollars and not so much for the cool fun that you could have with it. And the cool fun that you could have with it is why it's worth so much dollars. We just stopped having fun with this cool shit and we have more speculators. And I think that balance is about to tip. I think we're actually going to have way more end users than speculators very soon. But I think the speculation is why we're seeing the price come down. Not many people are having fun with the game anymore. And that's why we
Oh yeah,
got
that's
to
Mm-hmm.
where
my
we
hey,
were
my
in
my
value.
point is just that, if you're going to hold it, like, hopefully you've done, it's because you have some sort of conviction. Like, and that's really important.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be holding it over time, you've got to have this conviction. And I'm exactly in line with you. It's there's a lot of people who come into these spaces transitorily, and AI is probably seeing that boom as well. And maybe sports betting, maybe that'll be around forever, but maybe not. And they come in not because they really understand the product, but because they know there's like money to be made here, and those are the weak hands, right? And I was one of those. In a way, I was one of those weak hands as well. So I think we all have those moments where, understandably, though, we don't have the conviction, and there's not as
Mm-hmm.
much known about it. I think in 2015 and 2016, just to excuse myself a bit, it's like, there wasn't as much data as there is now, right? There's a lot more data about what Bitcoin is, and it's shocking to me that more and more people aren't interested in it. Like, most people are just as ill-informed as they were in 2015, 2016. I'm sure you'll agree with me, as they are today, right? Even though there's so much that has changed, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I just wanted to say for people like us, because I use all my crypto too since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It's us that used it that got it to its all-time highs. It wasn't the
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't holding. Holding never got it there. Using it, spending it, on-ramping people, moving it from wallet to wallet, swapping it and trading with it, all those cool things, being your own bank with it, right? Is why it got to those all-time highs. If we didn't have Laszlo with the pizza day and all the people like Roger with their websites and stuff like for accepting it, and I just don't know where we'd be right now. Like, if it was only ever this thing that you couldn't use because nobody did want to spend it, everybody
Yeah.
only wanted to hold it, then what would it even be worth?
So that's called deflation. That actually happens. So, just jump on that in a bit, because this deflationary events do actually happen, where the money becomes more rare than the products. And so as a result, people end up holding onto their money, because if they save it for one more day, the TV will be half the price as it was, like yesterday, basically, because their dollars are being valued more than the products that they're buying. And then that causes a loss of liquidity. So people actually can't get a hold of the money to take out loans to do the things in the economy that they need to do, because people are hoarding the money. And just to add on to this, this is the main reason why I think we can't escape fiat. Fiat is kind of like an addiction. We're kind of all junkies, and we actually need fiat. And I feel like we do need this kind of magic money. So we need to be able to create money that there isn't currently the requisite energy spend or effortfulness used in this money, because we're all in a competitive state right now in the world. So all the states are competing with each other to some degree to push their industry forward, to push the military forward. So if you have one state who plays by the money rules and say we only use hard money, and we're not going to extend ourselves over what we currently can justify by our economy, but another country says, fuck that, we're going to do it. The other country can totally win the chip sector. They can totally win in the military sector, and you only need to do that for 5 years to dominate the other country, right? So it's like no country can afford to be on the hard money standard at all. And I figure this is part of the reason why it cracked and why we're all on fiat right now. We're kind of junkies addicted to it, and there's something magical about it, but there's something horribly corruptive as well. It's kind of like using steroids. You're never going to get the performance that you're going to get without steroids. It's absolutely necessary, but your heart starts to become enlarged, and your intestines and your hormones start getting fucked up, and you're just chronically getting sick from this thing, but you can't get off of it if you still want to be winning gold medals, basically, right?
Yeah. Well, I think this is what gives nations like Venezuela and El Salvador the opportunity to have a Dubai moment where they sort of leapfrog the infrastructure necessary to get to where we are now at what we would consider the first world type shit, and consider them third world in that sense. But I think that is an opportunity. We've seen it with Dubai. About 20 years ago, people would make fun of you for investing in Dubai, and now their firefighters have jetpacks that put fires out on skyscrapers. So, like, the joke's on you. And I look at what El Salvador is doing and Venezuela and how they're going all in on crypto. I think that opportunity, because they're not held back by such a successful banking infrastructure, their lack of it actually helps them in this opportunity. And also, as citizens in countries where the governments can't necessarily switch off that addictive steroid that is fiat, the independent citizens, the civilians, can. This is actually a chance where we as people sort of look at like celebrities and these billionaire CEOs, like they're more wealthy than nations. And I think this is where everyday people can actually become more wealthy than governments that they're a part of. Just like there's companies that are more wealthy than nations that they're in. Like Coca-Cola's probably got more spending money than most governments have in their budget, right? Not saying like bigger than the US, but I'm saying Coca-Cola is bigger than most other countries' governments spending budgets, right? And I think with this opportunity, with this technology and this money, it's just giving all of us that opportunity to be our own kings. Like, fuck being your own bank. You're about to be able to be your own king.
Yeah, I think I agree with this sentiment overall. I feel like the fiat system is a bad opportunity for the middle class and lower class, for the reason that they don't have the insider trading knowledge. They don't have the lobbyists at their behest, right? They don't have the tax loopholes and the armies of lawyers that others do. So there's a way in which we all have to pay for the spending of the state. That includes, like, what is the number one asset that a lot of the middle class have? It's housing, right? So the interest rates go up and down. Housing is a huge sector in any of these developed economies, and getting pinched. You're getting pinched in the energy. You're getting pinched on oil right now. You're getting pinched on housing, on food prices. And this is not always to say that the producers of those are making like huge margins. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're not. It can be very unprofitable as well. Tight margins in where they work. But at the end of the day, like, it just feels like there's a lot of the wealthy class, the wealth divide, is able to get away with more of their money and skirt more of these systems, whereas a lot of us are exposed. And that's kind of, we don't know it, but that's the consequence of us signing up for, or like staying on the fiat system. And if you build these other monetary rails, you can say, look, I'm not wholly against all these government services, but I feel personally like my small amount of wealth is being taxed at a rate that others in the system are definitely not, and I'm just opting to not be here anymore. So good luck. I still want you to offer some of these services. I still need healthcare, right? But I'm not going to fully expose myself to the system.
But I'm not.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to opt myself, and I'm such a small player here. But if enough of us shrimp, kind of in the ocean, get together and we all move off, then there's not food for the whales, for those bigger players in the ecosystem.
There's an opportunity
right?
for a Boston Tea Party event, where we throw our fiat into the harbor and we go all in on shitcoins, where people rather just make their own cryptocurrency, find a stable coin, provide liquidity to their own thing, And I think that's where we're going to get to this like playground level esque imaginary money thing where everybody has their own shitcoin. You, me, kids on
Yeah.
the playground growing up, they're
Yeah, I'm about to make
eventually
my
going to
own
be
coin
30-year
too, for
olds with
sure.
their own currency that has a 30-year-old transaction history on the chain because they've been doing this since they were kids on the playground. And by the time they're our age, I think the economy is going to look so different that like if you brought a caveman into today's age and showed them how to use Apple Pay, it would be just as confusing as it's about to be for us in about 30 years. Like that's how
Yeah.
different I think everything's about to be.
Yeah. Do you want to jump in, Double?
Yeah, no, I was just saying like, yeah, because I'm definitely about to make my own coin too, because like all the tattoos that I do and the certificates of authenticity that I mint on the blockchain, like I can be giving people double O coins or tattoo coins every time they get a tattoo and give them a discount and shit like that. Like try to gamify my search and stuff like that on the blockchain. Like, and I've been hearing about this a while, but now like the more that I'm really talking to Ken and you and like really understanding like the importance of all this and the tokenization and stuff. Like I'm like really getting about to be all in, and I'm excited to learn about this shit with y'all.
Yeah,
I
I
do
mean
want I
everybody
do want to
should.
get back to the like the question was about trust, right? We didn't get back to like I didn't answer that that fully about like trust minimization, but just on this point, the proliferation of tokens. I think that this is exactly what we need. I think that everyone needs to be involved. This is kind of like a human endeavor. I think that part of the strong reason why Bitcoin can be trusted for me personally is that if you fuck up that network, the Pandora's box has already been released. It is not the hard part. The validating of this high security, high cost network has already been done. If Bitcoin dies tomorrow, it's going to be a horrible thing. It'll be very disruptive to the industry, but we can always create another chain. And I feel like the threat of it's like being locked into Apple or Microsoft as opposed to Linux, where everyone can create their own distro. Once you have the
Exactly.
opportunity to jump onto different distros, no one distro matters anymore. It's the thinking in each human mind that I don't have to tolerate this bullshit and I can always find another system. That is the huge thing. And so right now, someone could buy a huge chunk of the Bitcoin network and they could pervert it in certain ways that make it not as desirable as it once was. But part of the reason why they won't do that is because the medium through which it exists, just the code, is very, very cheap. It's a network that's very, very expensive. But if we need to start a new network, we can. We can flip the switch now, and someone can present. It's like the battle or the kind of arena of ideas. If you want to win, present a better idea. If you present a better idea, the market can assess that idea, and we can start operating that network, right? So like this is kind of like the gun to Bitcoin's head, which I think is a really elegant gun. It's like because
The
anyone can start
consensus
these
gun.
networks. Yeah. It's that's the social consensus, which is saying if you guys screw over the network or pollute it. So and by the way, the only way you're going to do that is by buying into it by quite a lot, right, and paying a lot of money. If you want to destroy it for whatever reasons, you can do that. It is possible to destroy Bitcoin. I do believe this, but it's not Bitcoin itself is not actually like it's more of the idea of Bitcoin or having kind of like this programmatic, low trust environment monetary network. That's the thing that Bitcoin is. And if it has to take on another iteration, if it has to not be the orange token, but it has to become the blue token and it's named something else, so be it, right? Like this is the beautiful thing that actually helps keep Bitcoin aligned, basically.
Well, we've seen that before with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and all the other forks that have followed
Right,
after.
right, right.
What's more important than code
Mhm.
consensus or social consensus? Because if it comes down to the code consensus, some majority would argue that Bitcoin Cash had the code consensus. It is truly Bitcoin, but the social consensus went with the ticker BTC because branding and
Mhm.
manipulation and we're just really good at like
Right.
Kleenex meaning tissue now, right? So
Marketing.
like what is more important, the code consensus or the social consensus and why?
Well, the code, the blockchain code mechanism is important because if it fails, then you lose trust in the network. Like if the security layer of the network fails, the whole network fails. But moving on from that, it's like I think of this question as Facebook right now. So you could and now with Cloud Code you can create a duplicate of Facebook and there's I'm an engineer. There's engineers who created videos a while ago. You create an Instagram clone, create a Twitter clone. You go and you'd watch this for 3 hours, and by the end of the day, if you follow it, you can create a clone. The value is not in the actual technology. It's not. It's almost not in the infrastructure too. It's like these web pages are really replicable at this point. There's nothing that Facebook does that anyone else cannot do. The value is in the fact that there's all the users there. And so you can go and stand up facebookx.com. You can go do it tomorrow. You can pay someone $50,000 and with Claude Code, they'll get it done for you in 2 weeks. And you'll have all the features there. You can pay a team in Russia to go do that for you. You'll have all the features. But we all know no one will give a shit. And I think we all implicitly know why no one will give a shit, because yes, you built everything exactly the way, but it's not Facebook. It's not this network that I'm on, that he's on, that you're on, that she's on. This is the same thing with Bitcoin right now. And again, I think it's very poetic. It's like part of the promise of Bitcoin is that we can start now that we've proven that we can do this, we can start another network. And that keeps the Bitcoin network itself aligned with our incentives enough. We all have a gun to Bitcoin's head right now, right? And this is the problem, and that's what Ubuntu, or rather like Linux, does as well. It's like if you create a shitty enough operating system in Linux, someone can go to another distro. They make new distros all the time. Like this is not a problem. I'm not locked in, but right now, if you're on Mac, you're really locked into what they have to offer, and if you're on Windows, the bloatware that they have, you're locked in. And the beautiful place will be if we can get enough people to realize that they don't have to tolerate this anymore. But that has to make the product has to be good enough. The user experience has to be good enough to be on par, because computers are very complicated for most people. I take it that's why Mac is kind of winning in certain ways, because they treat their operating system more as a human-centric thing. And if, as long as Linux operating systems are paling in comparison to what Microsoft and Mac does, they will not win. But the second that they kind of get on par and parity, it's really empowering to know, like, you've got this thing that's as easy to use, and it services you more than anyone else, and you have options to jump ship and stuff. So, I think there's something beautiful there.
I wonder what your thoughts are on interoperability in that equation then. Does that kind of, remove the gun? Or what are your thoughts on interoperability? Is that why maybe we haven't seen so much of a push towards it, because of that ecosystem-esque like motivation?
Yeah, so I think you're imagining that interoperability will be like, there'll be like dependencies on each other, and so you won't be as free to like move the block from Jenga, because everything will fall down, right? So it's kind of like maybe we're worried about that. I think interoperability is actually good. It empowers more of us to create more of these networks. And yes, there is a dependency, but it means that we can hot swap them hopefully easily, right? So it's like we're integrate them together. So when you go into one network, hopefully like moving to another one is not so painful. So I hope that interoperability and the protocols that push operability farther will actually mean that we're more free to jump networks. And so again, you want to optimize for the battle of ideas, where the lock-in or the reason why people are on your network is not because they know about it, not because of the marketing, not because a rich celebrity told them about it, not because they're locked in because they already put $10,000 in there. You want them to stay because the ideas are really good on that network. The tech really, really works, and it solves a problem case for them. And I feel like the more that we can enable that space in crypto, the more that we're going to get this traction that we're so desperately, hoping from the rest of society.
Yeah, no, I'm hopeful on interoperability as well. I mean, I'm happy we got to see it in certain things. Like I remember moments where like things of interoperability that stood out to me was what was it? Fortnite. You could play with your friends on an Xbox or a PlayStation. I'm like, wait a minute. That's the first you can cross play. So that interoperability was really cool. But like to see it coming to, that platform example where I could use AI to copy Facebook with API keys. Essentially, it wouldn't just be a copy. It would just be a skinned version. You'd still see all the same posts. You'd still get all the same DMs. You'd probably still use the same username and login and credentials because of the API keys, interoperability, right? So it does give value, I think, to the forks, so to speak, and it makes it less valuable to be that dominant infrastructural thing that is like, say, Bitcoin, BTC, right? With interoperability, it doesn't necessarily have that same weight anymore, where it matters who's on that network or not. Because with interoperability, if you're on any network, you're on all the networks. So now we all have the same amount of end users.
I think there's two things to say. One is like my understanding of malls, which are physical places that are being being phased out. This is if someone hears this in 100 years, they're gonna say, "What is a mall?" Right? But you look at a mall, the model of the mall. It was like, I think on a surface level, a lot of people say, why would I be at the mall, because all my competitors are there, right? Like I'm right next, I'm selling jeans right next to Levi's. Like this is horrible, right? But the reasons that malls actually work, my understanding, is because even though yes, your competitor is near you, you get more foot traffic such that it counterbalances that. So actually, the fact that all of you and your competitors together are there together means that you're more likely, all of you, to get more customers than if you were a standalone shop and people had to drive specifically to your Harvey's like location. But if you're in the mall and you're selling
Exactly.
burgers
That's why
and
you
there's six
see
other guys
McDonald's
selling
next to
burgers, you're
Burger
just
King.
making more money.
Yeah. Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you up, but I was just I hear you. It makes sense. I know exactly what you're saying.
Right. It seems unintuitive. Like to be like, no, I want to have my walled garden and be on my own. But then there's actually like negatives to that as well. And in terms of the API keys, and so you're asking like, what is the benefit then of being like the main base layer or like the layer
Yeah,
one,
what's
and
the
why
point
not
of
be a
being
layer
Facebook?
two? And what's the point of being Facebook? So the problem, and anyone who builds like tech solutions will know this, and you're right to say it, to talk about API keys, and I'm actually talking with someone right now who I had to tell them the story. um, you're always at the will of the person who owns the protocol at the end of the day. So you spend, let's say I spend a year building out this thing for this guy, and I do all this user research with him, and I make him very happy. But maybe it uses OpenClaw to to run on a machine and use Facebook APIs so that it can like message people or do whatever. But as soon as Facebook kind of realizes this, and they're not incentivized to support it for whatever reason, they can shut it down, and it keep costing me more and more money to keep changing this. So when you control the base layer, you do have a lot of power. And when it comes to Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, I mean, we can all imagine here that yes, they want APIs. They want to have release APIs so that individual developers can add functionality. They can do stuff with their network, which actually empowers their network, right? But as soon as those people do something that's corruptive to the product that they're making, they will shut that shit down immediately. And so, what is corruptive on Facebook is to give people access to API keys where they can direct message each other and post content. And then those people go to OpenClaw and put on OpenClaw, and now Facebook is flooded with AI slop all over the place. And so, Facebook has allowed this AI slop to happen precisely because they opened up the gates to it. And the second Facebook realized that, they go, we don't want this shit anymore, let's like revoke those keys, because they're not adding value to our platform anymore. They're actually harming it, right?
That's going to come from the advertisers demanding a refund on all the money that they paid Facebook for all the AI bot views that they paid for. That's
Yeah.
the conversation starter, I think, for real, for real.
But it even the, like, when you log on to Facebook or Instagram right now, like part of the reason why that platform is good is because usually when people DM you, they're real people, hopefully, or maybe sometimes they're bot farmers, but usually when people post content, they're real people. And so you get a sense that there's like a certain level of quality there and that you're connecting with other people. And I mean, I don't know how many of us are going to log into Facebook or Instagram when like none of your friends are there and it's just AI content, right? Like the product itself gets perverted. And at that point, actually, if Facebook did that enough, then Facebook X would take over, right? Someone would create a Facebook clone, like we just don't do this AI slop at all, and people will migrate over there. So it's an existential risk to any of these platforms to allow their primary value to be corrupted by activity on the network that is undue.
Okay. All right, I guess we could wrap it up with one last. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how much do you think it costs to make a a skin, or you mean of a Facebook or a Instagram like that?
It's not that expensive these days. Yeah, it's not that expensive. Yeah,
$50,000.
I think. Look, I think for a skin with Claude, it's a lot less. I think the kind of infrastructure, the kind of like the pipelines that they have, the kind of there's a lot of like integration stuff that they have, standing up all the different like across AWS, standing up the application so it's available worldwide. That will be very expensive. But if you just wanted to on your local machine, like start up a web app and it looks and feels like Facebook, it's not that expensive these days. It's much cheaper than you would imagine. Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap it up, but I did have one last question I kind of wanted to end things on with is so Bitcoin require or I guess money requires belief. People or it's required for people to believe in it for it to be a function as money. But does Bitcoin require people or cryptocurrency require people to believe in it as money, or could it be a chicken and egg scenario that it self prophesizes itself to be believed in, you know?
So yeah, I'm of the opinion that this viewpoint is wrong. like I'm of the opinion that, and this is mostly I'm ripping from Broken Money. So again, if you want it, like read Broken Money, because it's just such a good book about the history of money writ large, and then it also gives you a lot of perspective here. I think that when you ask people, and I have a video on my YouTube channel called Satoshi Chain, and kind of go on for this for about 30 minutes, so you can check it out there. If you ask about the value of gold, it's not arbitrary. So I think, but prior to me reading the book and going deeper on this, why is gold valued? Because it's always been valued, because it's shiny, something about it being rare, because it represents wealth. Most of these things are circular. It's like it's expensive because it's expensive. I don't believe that gold won the hard money race, and there was many hard monies, including like silver and copper. There was also tools and swords. There was like seeds. There was shells. There was all sorts of things people were using for this, like putting their economic activity in and then like selling it to someone else. This medium of exchange. Gold actually ended up being the victor of that, and I don't think it's purely accidental or coincidental. I think there's factors about what gold is and what it was that make it superior to every other thing. And it's not tarnishable, and it's divisible in many ways. It's stock to flow, so the amount of new gold coming in versus the total amount of gold is acceptable. It's about 2% per year, so it's not like when you put your money in it floats away. But silver it's much less. Like you could find more silver in any given year, so you're not as guaranteed. If you wanted to carry value to one village to the next, you wanted to get on your horse and move value. If you did it with silver, because there's too much silver in the world, you'd have to pack up your horse with a lot of silver to bring like a house to purchase a house worth in another place. But if you did it with gold, it would be much less. So there's all these properties about gold that are accidental. Like we as humans didn't do this. We didn't cause it to be the case. We had a need for what money needed to be, and we tried all these different systems, and we ended up finding that gold actually did it the best at the time. So that's the value of gold. And so Bitcoin or crypto, I feel like, is also this. Like a lot of people thinking it's just we just like it and we've got marketing. I'm like, no, I don't think it's the case. I think that we have needs for money, and this thing sufficiently matches it enough that that's the reason why the price action is going up. And so whether you like it or you don't like it is irrespective of how limited it is and how much it matches what we need. And the fact that you can create another network, if it either matches it exactly the same way, why do we need to go on the network? But if it matches it in any way that's worse, we're not going to go on that network. But if it matches it better, it'll start winning against Bitcoin. And I think it's a testament to the fact that nothing's won against Bitcoin right now, that Bitcoin actually, through reasons that are kind of miraculous, has solved so far sufficiently what we need money to be right now in the way that Bitcoin is. It's not currency. I don't think it'll ever be currency. I think it was wrong to ever think that it was going to be currency. But the hard money thing, the kind of space that gold occupies to some extent, Bitcoin's occupying right now. And there's no other network that we need to sufficiently satisfy it. Bitcoin's already satisfying it. The second Bitcoin stops satisfying it, if we as people change or our needs change, the new network will arise.
It's
So
crazy
I don't
how
think
many
I don't
people
think it's an optional point of
Yeah,
view.
it's crazy how many people think money is currency and currency is money, and how they cannot be in existence without one or the other. And I think we are
Yeah.
headed to a world without currency that focuses on money.
I know. So I'm a proponent of both. I think there's going to be both. I think that we're addicted to kind of like the currency and the easy. I think the distinction mainly is one of being able to create the currency first without effort, put the effort later, and money or hard money being something where you put the effort in first, and then you have the kind of exchange unit after, right? To me, that's the
Yeah,
main
but
distinction.
with
I think we need
fusion
both.
and quantum computing, though, it's like an inevitability of being obsolescent. It's like planned obsolescence. Like the honeypot or the pinata that is Bitcoin is there for quantum computing. Whoever is to achieve it first wins that race to the pinata, but it makes it worth nothing. It's sort of like a weird like movie prophecy in a sense. Like it doesn't make sense, but it does. If somebody were to create quantum and actually break SHA-256, congrats, they got all the Bitcoin. But now that they have all the Bitcoin, it's not worth anything. And I think that is when we
Right,
get
right.
to like the concept of a currencyless society where it's sort of like Star
The
Trek
kind of
X.
Star Trek future. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
but whoever makes the replicator, they're gonna rule the world because the replicator won't let you replicate another replicator. So when your replicator breaks, you're gonna have to do
uh,
something to get a new replicator. And I don't know what that thing is and who makes it, but that's gonna be the basis of the economy, the replicator.
look. Yeah, I think that you're right. Like we talked about fusion. Bitcoin or some other crypto, and a proof of work crypto, could get to the state where it essentially becomes a currency because it's so liquid, right? And if we had free energy, we probably could develop a blockchain or a new blockchain or modify Bitcoin to become that. Right now, it's not that, and it's stuck at 7 transactions per second, and it will never be that thing in its current iteration, but it probably could become it in the future. And if it's not Bitcoin again, it will be something else. Yeah.
AI will make it for us. The next Satoshi will be a AGI group of agent models working on it, and I think that'll be the next Satoshi Nakamoto thing, is like this quantum fusion-esque money. But I guess we can wrap it up here, Adam. Let people know where they can find you on social so they can follow you. You mentioned a couple things. Just make sure you shout out all the socials. So
yeah, absolutely. Just a Satoshi Chain. I would just say Satoshi Chain on YouTube. So you can just search that up. There's a few videos there. I haven't posted in a while as these things go, but if you liked what I was talking about energy and money and kind of like knowledge and whether or not you need certainty and all this kind of stuff, there's videos on there that kind of expand upon these topics. So definitely leave me a comment if you did watch this.
And then you wrote a book, bro. You can definitely tell you wrote a book. I love to hear it, bro. I'm definitely gonna check out them videos. Straight up.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So I love talking about these concepts. I'm sure everyone here gets really excited talking about, crypto and Bitcoin, and there's a lot of things to say. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you, man. Looking forward to seeing you at Futurist in Toronto. I'll see you there.
Yeah, please reach out. I got your email, so I'll hit you up around the time, and we can hopefully make some plans.
Yeah, for sure. I got a few people that I'm trying to get together with because I'm a big fan of Canada. I don't know if you know Buns. It was a token in Canada that used to work at like food trucks and stuff. Most Canadians don't even know. You had the coolest crypto. Look up Buns, B-U-N-Z. It was the coolest shitcoin ever. I could go get a haircut, a tattoo. I could get a beaver tail or some poutine, and it was all with this like really cool social currency. It had nothing to do with like
what happened to it.
They didn't care enough about it being money. Like it was really cool, but it was like what Dogecoin was supposed to be until Elon Musk ruined it. When you could buy a Tesla with it. It was just this thing that like you could get for doing like, community service. And when you earn the token, you could spend it at businesses that were like wanted to reward you for the thing you did to earn the token.
Yeah. So, hopefully that's the future of kind of our currency where we actually, that's where, the stable coin debate, I'm sure you guys are aware in America, there's a big, Brian Armstrong is pushing for that, right? I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, but it would be nice to own currencies and actually get some of that interest yield on it.
All right.
Okay. And anyways, yeah, we said we got to end.
Yep. Yeah, we got to wrap it up and just looking through everything, make sure everything looks good and we're good to go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Not another Bitcoin podcast. Double O Tats is in LA, so if you're in LA, look for the smoke signals. He'll be out there. Miss you, bro. Let me know when you get back to Vegas, and keep me posted on how LA's going.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. We out here, man. You know what it is, man. Double O Tats, the Black James Bond, doing these crypto tattoos, Bitcoin Cash, power. Man, I've been out here really, bro. Yeah, I'm telling you all about it.
All right, guys. Don't forget, like, share, drop some comments, and have a day.
Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get your Ken Bozak.